Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 9 of the Future Ready Librarians podcast series, Leading from the Library. This is a podcast for all librarians wherever you are in your journey. It is filled with amazing guests, important topics, and engaging conversations that will inspire, engage, and support all of us as future ready librarians. I am your host, Shannon McClintock Miller. I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Van Meter, Iowa, and serve as the Future Ready Librarians leader. I have the pleasure of working within my library and school community and also with others around the country and world through the Future Ready Librarian events, conferences, consulting, writing, and more. I am honored to bring these voices and the work of others to our podcast and to all of you. Well, today you're in for a real treat, everybody, because I'm going to have two guests on, which I always love. I love it when I get to have two people because we have such a great conversation. And these are two new friends to the Future Ready Librarian podcast, Melissa and Rachel. And so I'm just going to start by letting you guys introduce yourselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Silerio. I am a middle school librarian in the DFW area of Texas. I've been a librarian. I just finished year 5 in the library. And as far as education goes, this will be year 16 for me in education. It was the best decision I ever made, was moving from the classroom to the library. I absolutely love it. Comes with its own challenges, but so far it's been great.
My name is Rachael Welsh. I am also a middle school librarian, but I'm in the Houston area in Texas. I've also been an elementary and a high school librarian. I'm going into year 17 in education and year 11 in the library. So I've been all over. I like to joke with the kids that I'm like Thanos collecting all of the library levels, slowly getting all of my jewels. But yeah, I really, like Melissa said, this is very much the best thing that I ever did. I was an okay teacher, but I'm a really good librarian. So I'm really enjoying it.
Nice.
I love that.
We have to know our own skill set. And teaching was definitely not it for me.
Oh,
classroom teaching, I'll say.
Your kids are lucky to have you. I think a librarian and getting to work with like all of the kids is like the best thing in the world. That's the saving grace for me this time of year, as we think about going back into a new year. Like I can't wait to see the kids and
yeah.
like, that's the best thing about being a librarian.
Mm-hmm, it really, really is. I like to say that I'm the fun aunt of the school.
Yes.
They come in and they have so much fun and they love it. And then I'm like, okay, go back.
Yes.
Back
That's
to mom.
Funny.
Yeah. Be on like a shirt because that is totally it, right? Like that's
right. Yeah.
Get to do all the fun things. Well, I know that you guys do a lot of fun things at lunchtime. And when I heard and read about like what you wanted to talk about, I was so excited because I think that that's probably two of the best things about being in a secondary with middle and high school kids is that we get to see the kids during lunchtime or during breaks that they might have during the day. And so I cannot wait to hear about how you create and just promote those lunchtime events in your secondary libraries.
I will come from a high school point of view because so my middle school is actually 5th and 6th grade. So my current kids don't have as much freedom as Melissa's do in her middle school. So I'll be coming from a high school point of view, and then Melissa's going to come from the middle school point of view.
Great. Yeah. So I'm at a 7. Our middle school is a 7-8 campus. And so I don't know. I think I started doing lunchtime events maybe like my 3rd year in the library because I was one of the COVID librarians. My first year in the library was during COVID. So that was fun. And so when we kind of, sort of, go back to normal, I guess, if you want to say, I needed a way to kind of start bringing in kids into the library that normally wouldn't come to the library on their own, other than, you know, like with their language arts classes. So I started doing these lunchtime events where, so at my campus at the time, we have 3 different lunch blocks. And so I wanted a way for the kids to kind of come in on their own, do a fun activity. They could bring their lunch, you know, during the activity that we do. And then they just, you know, go on about their day. But I wanted the kids to be able to see the library as a space, that it wasn't just a place that they went with their language arts class. I was at a campus, my first year on my current campus, the library had been closed for 2 years. 1 year due to COVID, and then the end of that year, the librarian that was there retired, and they didn't find a replacement, so the library had been closed. So when I started on this campus, my biggest goal was, okay, we're reopening the space, you know, to get the kids in, because it had been closed for 2 years. So the lunchtime events kind of came out of that need of getting the kids in here, other than just them coming during their class time events. So I wanted it to be just a fun thing. I didn't want it to necessarily be academic. I just wanted them to come in and hang out and, you know, maybe play a game. So we've done things. My very first lunchtime event was during Hispanic Heritage Month in September, and we played Loteria. And it's kind of like a Mexican bingo is what people would refer it to as. And the kids absolutely loved it. And to this day, I'll still play it. And it's my most popular lunchtime event. Each kid got a bingo card. We called out the names. I gave like little prizes to the winners, you know, and they're with their friends. They're hanging out, and they just have a great time. And they still will ask me, well, can we play it tomorrow? Can we play it again? So I started doing it as like a monthly part of my program. So each month I'll do, you know, something different. We've done things like team trivia. We've done things like during Halloween. I kind of changed it up last year where I read to them like a spooky story. They loved that too. We've played Blook It, which
they do love that.
Rachel,
they really do.
They love Blook It. Rachel actually came up with a Blook It, and I was like, hey, can I borrow that for Poetry Month? And the kids went crazy. They loved it. We've just done all kinds of things. So usually I try to keep it as like kind of game based. They love the little competition part of it. And it's just something to get them into the library and having a good time. And usually those kids are like, oh, this was really fun. Like, when are we going to do it again? And they're always asking me like, Miss Silerio, when are you going to do your next lunchtime event? Or what are we going to do? And it's just taken off from there. So now I've just it's just part of my program now.
Oh, that is so fun. I love it. And kids I love it that they're doing something that they can be with their friends still, have a good time, but see the library. And that's one of the best things.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. How about you, Miss Rachel?
Yeah, definitely. You know, the older kids love being read to also. You know, definitely don't forget about that. Because yeah, I would also do the Halloween, and then the Halloween spooky stories. And then I would also bring in the theater kids, and we did William Shakespeare's birthday and Edgar Allan Poe's birthday. And they read some of the sonnets, and they did some of the spooky Poe stories. So yeah, similar to Melissa, I wanted to figure out how I could you're always going to have your library kids, right? Like the ones that will always be are more than just books. So we wanted to create a space that filled needs of all kinds for our kids. So we're a Title I campus, or the high school that I was in was a Title I campus, which meant that we had a very low socioeconomic percentage, if that phrasing makes sense. So I did a lot of things where I would kind of look around and see, you know, like, okay, what are some things that I can do to fill some gaps for some of these kids, and also provide things for our, you know, high socioeconomic kids to just, you know, enjoy it and have fun also. So in Texas, we have our big thing is football, obviously. So we have homecoming, and with homecoming comes is referred to as a homecoming mom, which is a very large. Shannon, have you seen these? Do you know what we're talking
Yeah.
about? They're
Yeah.
huge, and they've got ribbons
Huge.
and bells and glitter. But they're adhered to your shirt with a safety pin, and they're elaborate. And so we created a homecoming mom hospital because ultimately these moms would fall apart by like 8:30 in the morning. Some kids even came before school because they would get messed up like on their way. We just had scissors and glue and like I bought some things to kind of zhuzh up their mums also. I bought extra ribbons and different pendants and things that they could add to it for the kids that didn't have some of those more elaborate things. They could add stuff to it. And so that was one that we had at lunchtime, but also all day long because kids would step on them in the hallways. Again, they ridiculously large. I would do a lot of fun SEL activities, and that way it would disguise as makerspace. So we would have a station for bracelet making and origami, and just things that they could do and sit and kind of relax and chill with their friends. We did for Halloween, we did trivia and treats. So I went into our database because our kids weren't using the databases other than for research papers. And even for that, it was just like, I need, my 2 quotes and then to be done. So I went in through our databases and found questions based on, the things in the articles from Britannica schools. So it was stuff that I knew wouldn't just show up in Google. They had to go into Britannica. And I made different papers so they couldn't be cheater pants and get the same one as their friends, and so they would get candy if they were able to fill those out. We had I was also the National Honor Society sponsor, so we did a community service. I just knocked over a book. We did a community service project that they made toys for the pets at the SPCA by cutting up shirts and tying them into different braids, and then we donated them through another PAWS. It's PAWS for we donated them to the SPCA, and then we also did a prom hair tutorial during lunchtime. So a week before prom, I had a friend come in who is a hairdresser because not everybody can afford to get their hair done at prom time, right? So he came in and I had 3 different girls with 3 different hairstyles. So I had an African-American girl, a Hispanic girl, and a white girl that all had different hair types. The African-American girl had natural hair. And so he showed all the kids how to do different hairstyles and different updos on those different hairstyles and hair types. And then he was also available to answer questions. Like he had brought a bunch of tools. So, how do you use this curling iron? How do you, how can you get like a blowout? So he was available to answer questions for the kids that, can't, so they would still be able to look nice and look stylish for prom. And then for poetry, we had a slam poetry competition. So I had an administrator who performed spoken word. And so he came in on a Monday and performed during the lunches. So kids could come in and see it. And then on Friday, so they had the week to create their pieces. And they came in during the week and could work with us, work with one of the English teachers volunteered and came in and sat at lunchtime. And she and I kind of worked and edited and helped the kids with their performances. And then on Friday, we had the slam competition. And the admin who did the spoken word came in and was our guest judge. So it was really, really fun. And it was really cool.
That is so cool. I love that. I bet they had a great time.
They did, again, just kind of seeing the need. And it was all stuff that, like Melissa does. It's just fun. and it's stuff that, nobody else is doing, but it's just providing that space for them to explore new things and to um, if there's something that they need. We also had like the homecoming mom, I had the same stuff that we did the graduation cap decorating at the end of the year. Because again, not everybody can afford to go to Hobby Lobby and get all the fancy stuff, but we had glitter paints and ribbons and stuff. So it's just, seeing the need for those kids
That's
so
really,
that they see the library as something that is more than just books, and hopefully will take them through their lives as seeing this as a community center and a place that they can go when they're adults too.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that that part is so neat. And I love how you involve so many different people from your community too. If it's somebody within your school or like your hairdresser friend. And I think
Mhm.
that's such a great thing for kids to realize that there's lots of people, in their community that can be helpful or resourceful. And
Yeah,
that's a neat thing to do for your kids too.
very, yeah, very much that. And that it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
Like if you don't know how to do something, like sure, you can go to YouTube, but you can also go to a person and ask for help, and the community is there, and will support you. I have trouble asking for help sometimes. So them being able to see, different people in different safe spaces that they can go was nice too.
That is really
I love
great.
how you said that example of seeing the library as almost like a community center. Like we always
Mhm.
hear kind of the saying, like the library is like the heart of the school. But I like that better. It's the
Yeah.
community center of the school, like where everybody can go and get something, whether it's, what, you just need a moment to pause in
Mhm.
your day to hang out, or you want to come during lunch and, play a really like enthusiastic Blooket during lunch,
Yeah.
to
Oh
kind of
yeah.
have that brain break in the day, or you want to come and like get something from the community. So I think with like the lunchtime event, something that Rachel and I both just try to achieve is that community aspect that the library is, that everyone is welcome. It's not just for the kids that read. It's not just because your teacher sent you here to finish a test. Like it's the community.
That's
We're
so
all here
real.
together. Yeah,
Mhm.
right. Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
these events kind of allow for that time because, middle school, my middle school kids, they don't get a recess, which I
Yeah.
think is crazy. I
Right.
think middle school kids need recess. So
Oh
it's
gosh, they
almost like,
do.
yeah, they really do need it. And they don't have time. My kids and on my campus, they go to 8 classes a day. Like, and it's back
Mhm.
to back to back to back to back. So I feel like with these lunchtime events, it's not necessarily like a recess, but it's just that pause in the middle of the day to just have a good time or,
It's like
be
a brain break.
creative or
Right.
total brain break. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and
Which adults need those.
that's what I was gonna
Yes.
say. Like, do you guys ever have teachers like that pop in? Because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yes.
that is something too that I love it when teachers kind of find like their little space too in these events because
Hmm.
we need that too as teachers and adults and I think that's something that is so important. Yep, the library can be that for everybody.
I've seen
Yeah.
libraries that created mindfulness centers for the teachers, like put part of the workroom with, like the low lighting and, kind of like the soft, fluffy blankets and, just a place for them because there's no space for the teachers to be able to unwind either. There's always kids, there's always something. If you go to the workroom, there's still noises. So I've seen that, and that's something that I want to try to incorporate in a future space um, for the teachers to be able to kind of unwind also, because it is so important. Like I'll go into my office
Yeah.
every once in a while and, close the door and turn the lights off and eat chocolate. um, I'm like, this is my Reese's break. But yeah, like we need to remember that we need that kind of stuff too, because, burnout is real.
For, for real. No, yeah. Like, so I was going to just add that I always send out the lunchtime event to teachers too. Like, hey, this is happening, because the kids absolutely love when a teacher comes and sits down and
Oh yeah,
plays whatever
especially
we're doing. Oh, they love
yeah.
it. So,
I
and
was
I
gonna
know
say
like
my
teachers are really busy. Yeah. So I'm like, I come if you can, bring your lunch, hang out with the kids, because the kids are also getting to see the teachers like in a different way. It's not just in their classroom, and the teachers are having fun. So I always try to get teachers and like, just come. It's just once, bring your lunch, hang out with the kids or compete against the kids. And that's always a really good time.
yeah. They
Oh,
love it when they play the Blue-Kit games.
Yes. Yes.
well, and I think that it's such a neat thing to think too about. I mean, you guys are a perfect example of what a librarian, like, think about the trust and the love and like just how they feel about you because you've spent the time doing something special for them. And a lot of times kids, that's exactly what a librarian can bring to a school community is that person that they can trust and that they know cares about them. And listening to your stories, like I think that's the really special thing about what you guys are doing. And it's an inspiration because it's something too that I mean, we as we start back to school, always remember that. And I always try to think about every single student in our school, and the needs of them. And that's something that we all can make a huge difference. You guys are
Yeah,
doing good.
there's thank you. There's so many
Yay.
statistics about kids and the amount of success they have if they just have one caring adult.
Yes.
For any
Mm.
kid, if they just have one safe, caring adult, their rate of success is so much higher than somebody who just goes to school and just goes through the motions. So
Yeah.
it's very important to make that safe space for them.
Well, you
Yes.
guys are definitely doing that. And I'm so happy that you shared your stories and I just wondered if there's a place that people can find you online too, if they want to follow what you're doing in your libraries.
So I'm on Instagram and X or Twitter. I still will say Twitter. Um, I'm at Mel Silerio, Melsilerio. And then I also have my library is also on Instagram at JCMS_library.
And I am on Instagram also. So I am at Rachel Reads. Rachel is Rachael Reads. Yeah. I had to think about that for a second. Um, and then I am also on Twitter and TikTok, and it's Rachel Reads with an underscore. And my library is on Instagram also at Sablatura Library, Sablatura, Sablatura.
Very
Yeah,
good.
I'm more active on Instagram and TikTok. I'm trying to get away from Twitter. But yeah.
Thank you. Well, you guys are amazing, and I'm glad that we can share these stories as we all start back into a new year and make a difference in our libraries too. So I appreciate you guys being on the show. It was great.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much for
having
having
us.
us.
As always, thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for this episode of the Future Ready Librarians podcast series, Leading from the Library. And a very special thank you to our sponsors, Follett Content. You make a difference in our libraries, schools, and within our lives, and that of our students every day. We appreciate everything you do. I hope you can take what you learned in today's podcast and put it to use within your practice as a future-ready librarian. If I can support you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me on X or Instagram at Shannon M. Miller or to my email at shannonmcclintockmiller@gmail.com. I am always happy to help. Until next time, friends, keep finding ways to lead within and from your library.